Hey everybody, this is John the Other, obviously, and I have a question for you. Now, this is a question for both men and women to answer if they can, and it's one of those what would you do type of things. Let's say that you are 20 years old, you're in good shape, you're in university, you're doing well, you have a plan for your life that you're moving towards, and you're male. Women, this is still a question for you, but consider your answer as if you are a 20-year-old man. You meet a girl at university. She seems to be into you. You end up in a sexual relationship that lasts, like a few months? But eventually you break up and you go your separate ways. Let's also consider the possibility that in the aftermath of that breakup, the girl you were seeing is not too pleased with the result. Maybe she didn't want to break up, so she feels rejected and used. On the other hand, maybe she discovered that after a couple of months of dating you, her shiny new boyfriend, were not into the same tentacle porn fantasies that she was into, even though you seemed so cool and open-minded at first. And so obviously you're a judgmental normie who deceived her by looking good and having a big dick, and now she's mad as hell. Whatever the case may be, she's all pissed off due to what amounts to a misunderstanding or a miscommunication. So she starts telling her friends that you are a lout. She doesn't tell you that, of course. You've broken up with her. She just tells her friends, and they tell her she's too good for you and that you, the lout, never deserved her. But being a lout, or like a normie or a jerk, that's not really the language that your ex-girlfriend and her college friends use. They're not calling you a lout, they're using the word creep. And come to think of it, your ex-girlfriend isn't exactly stunning and brave if you were only a creep. It's better for her heroic victim street cred if you are an abusive creep. But of course, being angry or disappointed as she might be, your ex-girlfriend, she's not unreasonable, and it wasn't until her friends, the ones who've never met you, insisted that you are a creep that she began to use that term as well. And then a funny thing happened. When she did come right out and call you a creep to her friends, she was showered with praise for her heroic fortitude at surviving your prolonged abuse, and like magic, that became her updated memory of your couple months long relationship. And pretty soon, those first few weeks of seeing one another when you couldn't keep your hands off each other, that memory gets rewritten too, because if you were an abusive creep, then her enthusiastic participation all those times you screwed like little bunny rabbits, those were clearly the product of your coercion and control of her, and she's a damned brave hero to have lived through such abuse. And to be honest, now that she's worked through her trauma and talked it out with her feminist friends, it's very clear now that she was trapped in Stockholm Syndrome fixation on her abuser, that's you, and all those romps that you remember were actually instances of degrading sexual assault. But she doesn't tell you any of this, or the police. This narrative has to spin round and round and round inside the close-knit bubble of her feminist college comrades before it emerges as a fully fleshed-out saga of protracted sexual assault. And you never hear any of this until one day, the office of the dean of your business school sends you a letter advising you that an unnamed number of undisclosed but very serious accusations have been made against you, and you will be placed on academic suspension until the matter is resolved by the administration. So you're barred from campus, and we'll skip some details. Your academic career is over, as is any prospect of working in your professional field, and whatever academic credentials you've achieved up to this point are now worthless. You get to keep your student debt, though. And then something else strange happens. None of your friends will return your calls. No prospective employers will respond to your requests for an interview. Your current part-time job has stopped giving you shifts because the social media whisper network is busy, and you are now a known sexual predator. So how are you going to pay your rent? How are you going to eat? No company that has a formal hiring process will even reply to your email, not after they do a 35-second search of your name on social media. And you haven't been charged with a crime. You never had an actual fight with your ex-girlfriend. You can't even get a protective order or a no contact order because she is not stalking you or trying to contact you in any traditional sense. The laws against stalking and harassment do not fit with the new style of social media mobbing. But you'd better not try reaching out to her either by phone or Facebook or whatever, because with the new narrative in place that you are an abuser, one ill-thought-out text message from you will put you right into a pair of handcuffs, and you're already broke and unemployable. So how do you find a lawyer? And let's say You move to a new city and you try to reestablish your life there. As soon as you show up on the grid again, there is now a small but well-organized group of true believers watching for you to pop up, and they will reach out to your employers or your university if you have one, or your gym where you work out, because despite none of them having ever met you, they know, they are believers that you are a dangerous predator and you must never again be allowed to find a job or rejoin society. And this condition will persist in your life for 5 to 10 years while you work ever more menial jobs which each have no future prospects, periodically getting fired when the social media mob finds you at each new place that you go to work. So the question is, how do you figure you'd handle this? How would you deal with it? Now, there might be one or two people who think this nightmare scenario that I've laid out is unrealistic, or it's some kind of horror porn, right? What I've just described is actually a generalized combination of a number of young men's experiences and their current ongoing reality. This is real for a growing number of young people, and it is encouraged and cultivated by what passes for mainstream journalism. What would you do? Now, to help you focus on what might be effective, you should probably understand that a civil lawsuit, if that's in your mind, costs at least $200,000 just to get to a courtroom. And if you can somehow finance this legal approach and then settle the matter in court, that will be used as a story element when they say that you legally intimidated and bullied your victim into silence. Additionally, anybody who thinks an answer involving vigilante violence is a good idea, those answers are immediately disqualified. Don't bother making them. Thank you. But if you have an answer, please put it in the comments below this video. The reason I am asking is that I keep meeting people who need to know what to do with this situation. And there is no one single answer, nor is there actually a generalized set of answers that fits with any majority of the cases where people need a solution to this problem. I've done videos in the past outlining the generalized productive steps that a person could take when they've been openly accused of a scandalous crime. Today I'm talking about something that takes a different shape and is considerably harder to deal with. Beginning to tackle the problem sooner rather than later is one of the things necessary, by the way, to survive social mobbing. So hiding under the bed and hoping it goes away does not work. And having an awareness that this mobbing behavior is increasingly being pushed as if it is productive and positive, in fact it's progressive and heroic, knowing that might help you prevent it from happening in your own life. In fact, some of the people listening to this right now might be part of a community or a group that routinely engages in this practice and who see themselves as heroic, noble, and brave for doing it. And when those people become targets, as they quite often do, sometimes they find the Lighthouse Project, although usually only after they've been turned into the Walking Dead by their former friends. One of the things common to every single person that this happens to is that in every single case they are absolutely and totally shocked that it happened to them. Thanks very much for listening, and as always, have a lovely, lovely day.